Today, we are going to talk about 5 different car share insurance nuances that you did not know about. Before I get into that, click below, grab the 5 things you must do before starting a car rental business. That also comes with the Car Share Growth Guide, which gives you a city-by-city breakdown of which car share platform is strongest in your area. Lots of great information in there. Also, give this channel a like and a subscribe. I always appreciate that. All right, so let's get into it. What are some things that we need to kind of pay attention that are nuances in the car share space when it comes to insurance? Some of these things are going to be self-explanatory. Some of them are going to surprise you a little. And I've talked a little bit about this before on this channel, but definitely hang around for all 5. You're going to learn a couple of new things in this, I promise. I would say first and foremost, stay away from traditional insurance companies as much as possible. I'm talking about Geico, Progressive, Allstate, all those guys. As much as you can stay away from them, it's better. They do not like the car share industry. We do not like them. It's just kind of a hot mess between the two of them. Now, there are situations where you do need to use them. If you are insuring your car in a personal use case, obviously you're going to use that. But if you put that car on Turo on the weekends, then you're putting it on Turo's insurance, but you're still going to be insuring that car for personal use when you drive it during the week. So in that situation, you're definitely going to want to keep the traditional insurance because it's being used by you on a personal use case basis. That's fine. Just that if it goes on Turo on the weekend and there is a situation where there's an accident, just file the claim through Turo. You do not need to file the claim through your personal insurance. So obviously it gets a little more tricky when it comes to insuring for private rental agreements, Uber drivers, all that stuff. There are different products out there that do accommodate that, like Progressive's commercial side or Allstate. But what I will say is that it does get a little tricky with them. Many times you call them, they give you multiple different answers on what are their exact policies. That's very frustrating, especially with Progressive. Like I said, if there is a clean solution for car share insurance for whatever the reason, I would definitely go in that direction because it just makes your life a lot easier. Number 2, it is much easier to insure 25 cars than it is 10. Most of them don't realize this, but once you get up to that level of scale at 25 cars, you can start working with large carriers. And because they see your fleet as large enough to diversify their risk amongst 25 different cars, not only does that lower your rate, but it makes the entire situation easier for you. If you want to do a hybrid of car share and ride share, that is possible at that level. Whereas if you're at 10 cars, doing a hybrid of car share and ride share is a little trickier, a little more difficult. It is possible, but I will say it's just not as clean of a solution at that level. But when you get up to 25 cars, you can work with the larger carriers. And in that scenario, it's just a lot easier to deal with this. That's what I've seen in the industry. And I think it really does behoove you to get up to that level just to make things a lot easier for you from an insurance standpoint. Number 3, large carriers prefer rideshare drivers to car share. Now, that is a big surprise for a lot of people in this industry, especially operators. We all see rideshare drivers as being unstable and they're going to crash the car and they're not going to pay and they're going to smoke weed inside the car and drive it off a cliff, whatever. That is a big surprise for a lot of people. But what's interesting is that the large carriers have all the data on rideshare drivers at this point, many years of it now, and they understand exactly what the risk matrix is for them. Whereas with car share, especially companies like HireCar, they're not quite sure what's going to happen. So when they insure a car share car, they don't know if it's going to actually be paid out by someone like HireCar. Now, I will say that companies like Turo and Getaround are both backed by A or A+ rated insurance companies, but I think it is HireCar that has given car share the bad reputation in this industry, and they've been probably around almost the longest of all 3. And so that is why larger insurance carriers have a bad taste in their mouth with car share insurance. I can tell you from a personal standpoint, for the most part, HireCar will pay out on when they say they're going to pay out. They don't always. They sometimes find loopholes, but that is the issue. But I will say from a Getaround and Turo standpoint, they definitely always pay out. Number 4, Lula's collapse in the industry is actually a good thing for all of us. I think we all thought that Lula kind of provided this solution that was like a catch-all for all of us. I think really what people didn't understand is that they didn't even see themselves as an insurance provider. They saw themselves as a technology broker. The product that they were selling all of us really just wasn't adequate for what we need in the car share space. They have basically folded at this point, and frankly, I just think that's good. We don't need insurance suppliers that are going to sell us snake oil and not actually cover our claims when we we need them. It's better for all of us. Like I said, if you're working with Turo or Getaround, I would look at either ABI.X on the Turo side of things and Roamly car share on Getaround side of things for insurance. That just makes it a lot cleaner. It's a lot easier to deal with all of that. And number 5, usually the worst thing that will ever happen to you in the insurance space with car share is that they'll just raise your rate. That's usually the worst thing that'll happen to you. Everyone is always so scared and freaked out. What's going to happen if I crash this car, or renter crashes that car, or my Uber driver blows up a building, or he's not insured and then blows up another building? In my first 2 years of this industry, I committed every major insurance sin you could possibly commit. And I went through it all. I saw the belly of the beast, and I will tell you the worst thing that happens is they raise your rate. That's about it. So don't freak out. It's really not the end of the world, but that's not to say you don't want to calibrate your insurance properly. But I do think many times people freak out a little too much. Not to say that you shouldn't research this, but if you don't get it perfectly right the first time, it's going to be all right. I promise. Do try to do your best to get this right as much as you can. Obviously, I can help you with that. I've listed a variety of resources if you click on the description below to really help you get it right the first time. But like I said, I mean, this is kind of the thing that people think that something horrible is going to happen to their business. They're going to get sued. They're going to go to jail. They're going to get shipped off to Guantanamo Bay. No, it's going to be all right, guys. I promise. So I will tell you that usually the worst thing I've ever seen happen after committing a heinous insurance sin with a company is that they just raise the rate. Typically, they'll raise the rate to a point where you probably don't want to stick around with them any longer and shop it around. But that really is kind of the worst thing I've ever seen. All that to say, those are 5 different nuances in this business when it comes to insurance. I know this is perpetually a subject that is tough for everyone and they're trying to understand. Obviously, it depends on how many cars you have, which state you live in, how you are renting your cars, a variety of variables here that really kind of shake things out differently depending on who you are, what you're doing, and what state you live in. All that to say, drop some comments. Would love to hear your thoughts. And before I go, click below, grab the 5 things you must do before starting a car rental business. I will catch you in the next episode. Thank you.